and welcome back to some more Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. Last time, we did a lot, actually. So, we were able to get our bicycle. We were able to use our bicycle and travel around the Sinnoh region just a little bit faster. With our bicycle, we were able to find new encounters in Cranidos and Shieldon, and this time we are gonna head into Route 206 and find what we are missing. Because we've got a lot of things to cover that are fun and interesting. We've got a lot to talk about. Now, one thing I want to mention is this is an entirely optional route. A completely optional thing to do. You can do this if you so choose to. We are going to cover at least this route and then some stuff. And then the cave that is in there. And then there's a little cave that is in this area. We're at least going to do that. Pick up the item, please. A Super Repel! Wonderful. We might be going back to Eterna City, not back to Eterna City, but to Orberg here in a second, so we can pick up some more items, because we're gonna need them for what's ahead. I'll grab this Burn Heal. And I did not mean to fight this guy. While that is going on, while that is happening, I believe it is time. Alright. While that is happening, we are going to go over the new encounters of Route 206. Starting out, we have one of my favorite Pokemon to talk about. It is Stunky. We saw its evolution earlier, but now we get to look at its pre-evolution in Stunky. Oh look, it's another Pokemon, another poison type. This one's probably not good, right? Wrong, it's actually pretty good. It leans more on the defensive side of things, but don't underestimate the strengths of the typing and the stats of its evolution. It does a lot right while also being a little hard to use due to its weaknesses to ground. But hey, it counters my least favorite type in Fairy, so that counts for something. It does definitely count for something. Next up is the wonderful Bronzor, our first example of a pure, bulky, Steel-type Pokemon. As it is a Steel-type, it has a bundle of resists and is an incredible option for defense. You can also get this, I believe, in Mount Coronet, but I held off on recovering it. As it is a Steel-type, it has a bundle of resists and is an incredible option for defense. It is awesome that you can choose your weakness with Heat Proof or Levitate. It is an and/or. Personally, I'm on Team Levitate when it comes to abilities because Earthquakes and other such strong ground type moves and Pokemon exist in this game. That being said, its offensive capabilities are like paper and they won't do anything special. And I hinted to the next one in a previous episode by calling it the best cry ever. And this is gonna be fun for me because I get to imitate the cry. It's Cricketune time, and it's gonna be over before it begins! It's not very strong, as I said in Cricketot's bio. It's too frail and a pure bug type. It has the best cry though, as you just saw. And that is every new Pokemon you can get here on Route 206. That also covers the Wayward Cave as well, because there is nothing else there too. There is nothing else in the Wayward Cave as well. It is all the same of Zubat, Bronzor, and Geodude. The Wayward Cave is a cave that we'll see here in a second, actually. Once we get through battling this, hiker. I almost said miner, and I was like, wait, no, that's not what it is. Alright, and the Onix is dead, which is good news for us. But yes, those are the gym trainers. I personally was thinking about using the, Stunky on the team. However, if I'm going to use some of these Pokemon, you might as well hold off, because you can honestly get it. You can get it in a better spot later on. I mean, you can get it now and it'd be useful, but we're level 24 now. Jeez. And we're about to go through an optional dungeon. It's not great that we're this strong, honestly. But that is okay. We'll deal with it when we deal with it. A Poison Barb, useful for Pokemon just like Stunky and the Skorupies down in the underground. And Krogunk, should also mention. Alright, this is the Wayward Cave. We need another Pokemon for this, because the HMs do not cover what we need. So that's a thing. So we gotta go back to Orberg to pick something up. Also, if you're wondering why we aren't covering a certain Pokemon, or a certain part of that cave system, it's because we can't do it yet, because this game's dumb. Which, that leads into something. It's time. It is time for me, your humble creator, to go over the rant. Now, we are going to continue playing while I go through this. So, as we have exited Eterna City and are about to enter the Wayward Cave, I think it's high time I discuss the discourse about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. As mentioned, and why we are covering this game and not Platinum. I don't have access to playing Platinum through Platinum for the channel, because that requires hardware I do not have. Would I love it if I could do that? Absolutely, but right now I cannot. But enough rambling about what we can and cannot do. What I do want to discuss is my thoughts on the discussion of why BSP is not the greatest Pokemon games ever. To be absolutely real with everyone, this game has a ton, and a lot, and I mean a ton, of flaws. And I mean several. From the get-go, you know how I said in some of the bios for Pokemon like Desco and Gligar, not being real options till post-game, they are part of that reason. So I'm going to break this down into 3 sections. Number 1, the Grand Underground. 2, the Pokedex. And 3, decisions. Number one is absolutely the Grand Underground. I cannot stand this. So as much as I praise some of the changes to the Grand Underground with having normally unobtainable Pokemon in Pearl and Diamond in those respective areas, having some of them be useful, unuseful, or unable to be fully evolved till post-game is among the worst decisions for modern Pokemon ever. That is a bit of an oversell for that, but it is that bad. No one wants that kind of stuff. It would be like a Mario game telling you you can't use a Fire Flower until after you get through every world, and all 8 worlds. It would be ridiculous to expect that. Also, I'm not buying that many Rebels. It wouldn't make any sense. But the Grand Underground is absolutely one of the main issues. And it coincides with them negating HM uses as well. They made some quality of life upgrades, to be clear, but they did not think about what they did not think about is that those quality of life upgrades do nothing if they don't make other parts of the game flow around them. Which leads into point number 2. Number 2 and 3. I'm combining the two for this discussion as they go hand in hand. The Pokédex and the decisions of this game is one of the reasons many will pick playing through Platinum over these games. The Pokédex in this game is a major issue. Instead of using the Platinum Pokédex, which is a massive upgrade to Diamond and Pearl, making these games like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where the plot follows more closely to the Crystal plotline, and decided that the plot would be Pearl and Diamond, which is an issue when you made the Grand Underground contain Pokemon that are only obtainable in Platinum, locking off their main evolution items. Main evolution items they need to evolve till post-game is certainly a choice. A choice, mind you, that made people annoyed and angry with the games, because they neutered a game with high amount of potential. However, the counterpoint to any of that is at the very least a big majority of the Pokemon catchable are able to evolve for the main story. I mean, just look at Elekid, a Pokemon that we're going after, mind you. You can catch one holding the item it needs to evolve, which is great, but again, that shouldn't have to be the case. Awesome Pokemon like Gligar and Duskull are unable to reach their full potential because they lack access due to BDSP limiting its Pokédex. Even if they did not limit the Pokédex, they could have just at least put the items as available to get through the main story. But they chose not to do that for some reason. Then you look at the decisions and the narrative alongside all of that. It becomes clear the developers were clearly told that if it needed to be as faithful to the originals of Diamond and Pearl, and that they couldn't make changes to that script. I want everyone to go back and look at the Gen 2 and Gen 3 remakes and tell me what is different about those games compared to these. This isn't a remake, it's a remaster. Changing graphics to upscale it and doing almost nothing else isn't cohesive to make a great remake. Especially when the formula for great Pokemon remakes exists. For instance, my favorite Pokemon game in all of Pokemon is Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I love those games. Those are great. Also, that's important for later. Especially when the formula for great Pokemon remakes existed. Wanted to make sure I say that again. Decisions to make the dex the way it is. Decisions to make the game have less obtainable Pokemon than Platinum. Having normally Platinum-only Pokemon accessible to be catchable in the main story, but to turn around and lock away their evolutions is just terrible. It wouldn't be so bad. It wouldn't be so bad if they had a Platinum episode after the main story's conclusion. Or have it be where items you get in the game match Platinum, so you can at the very least use the Pokemon you want to. I know I've been incredibly harsh here, and it's unfair to be this harsh to a game. And I don't mean to be super harsh. I love Pokemon, but I think there is a lot of flaws to be shown here. However, there is something I want to say about them. Is that they are in fact this game is not in fact my least favorite game. Far from it, actually. Maybe one day we'll get into my biggest Pokemon hot take as a Pokemon fan. But this is not that day. Pokemon BSP are heavily flawed games, but I think some of the changes they did try to make them at the very least better than the original Diamond and Pearl. Should be at the very least commended for that. For them trying to do something. Pokemon is near and dear to me, and I love this franchise with literally everything I have. Pokemon has been there for me from day one. But even I had to be critical of something I hold so close to my heart. Anyways, let's not be negative about it any longer. So this is where I am actually going to end the episode. I know, we didn't do a whole lot today. All we really did was get to Wayward Cave, grab Mew, and tell it Flash. But that rant was extremely important to me. So, next time on Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Not Shining Pearl. I said it for the first time. On Brilliant Diamond, we are going to go through the entirety of Wayward Cave, the optional dungeon with lots of useful things for us. See y'all later. Bye-bye.